Hello, you are listening to the countdown to LG7 with Big Pink Energy, who is me. Maybe you're listening because you're a huge Lady Gaga fan, desperate for news and gossip about her new album. Maybe you feel like you have to listen to this podcast because we're friends and it would be kind of embarrassing for me if this podcast flopped. Or maybe you're here because you're secretly in love with me. What a day it has been. I know I only dropped an episode like 2 days ago, but when you get a bad boy piece of information like we have today, I have to come out with an episode early, hence why there's no guest. I've just very, very quickly arranged this on my own. So I wanted to talk about the bits of news that we got today, but also wanted to just talk about some of my theories about the titles in the track list, because I already have a lot of thoughts despite the thing being dropped at the time of recording less than 2 hours ago. Let's start first with the updated timeline. I know in the last episode I kind of ran through the timeline of LG7. So obviously today we've had the title and date announcement, title being Mayhem and the date being March 7th, which is slightly later than we originally anticipated, but literally I think it's fine. It's only coming, like a week later than we expected. I do think, we're nearly at February now. It coming out in the first weekend of March means we've got time to fully enjoy the next single and all of these other little bits of press and teasing and all of that fun stuff that comes with like a pre-album release era. So I'm excited. I think March 7th is great. The first time I ever saw Gaga in concert was actually March the 5th, 2010. So it's fun that LG7 is coming out just after the my personal 15-year anniversary of seeing Lady Gaga in concert for the first time. So that's quite nice. It's also the day before Women's Day, so take from that what you will. And then, as I said before, we've got the LA Fire Aid concert happening this week. Then at the Grammys, Variety has announced that she will be launching her second single and music video during a commercial break at the Grammys. That's happening on the 3rd of February this weekend. Then we know Mayhem is coming out on March 7th. On March 17th, she will be at the iHeartRadio Music Awards, where she is being awarded, the Innovator Award. Then April 11th and April 18th, she will be at Coachella, and then she'll be performing in Brazil on May the 3rd. So lots happening, still something quite big happening every month from now through until May. We haven't got tour dates yet, but I would go as far as speculating that we're going to get some tour dates probably around either around the Coachella performance or slightly before. Let's talk about this track list. So if you've been following along, you've seen that LadyGaga.com has had a countdown for the past week where every day it refreshes, and it's kind of been a celebration of each previous era. It started with LG1, which was the Fame, all the way through to LG 6.5 being Harlequin. Today it refreshed and the countdown ran out, and we found out the confirmed title for LG7 is Mayhem. We've gotten some images. We've gotten a teaser trailer where the track list has been kind of revealed. It sounds like from this Variety article that Gaga's planning on kind of revealing the track list officially at some point at a later date, but you can tell what the track list is from the teaser they've posted today. So I don't think it's a huge spoiler to discuss title tracks and lengths and that kind of thing. There are 14 tracks, including Die With A Smile. And there is also on her website, there is a bonus track version of the CD, being 15 tracks total. We don't have the name of the bonus track yet, but we do have the others. So I'm going to just run through the track list now in order. So starting off with number 1, Disease, Abracadabra, Garden of Eden, Perfect Celebrity, Vanish Into You, Killer featuring Gus Affelstein, Zombie Boy, Love Drug, How Bad Do You Want Me, Don't Call Tonight, Shadow of a Man, The Beast, Blade of Grass, Die With A Smile. And I think the bonus track on the bonus version of the CD is actually going to be track 14, and track 15 will become Die With A Smile. So there is a lot to talk about today. First, let me run through this Variety article. So they're quoting Gaga as saying this: "The album started as me facing my fear of returning to the pop music my earliest fans loved. describing the creative process as reassembling a shattered mirror. Even if you can't put the pieces back together perfectly, you can create something beautiful and whole in its own new way. And I know in the last episode we discussed a little bit about Happy Mistake and there being a bit of a link between these kind of images and the lyrics of Happy Mistake. And I think that's especially true, judging from that quote. And then to rehash what she said in an interview back in December, she said, the album is full of her love of music and it's composed of so many different genres, so many different styles, so many different dreams. It leaps around genre in a way that's almost corrupt and it ends with love. That's the answer to all the chaos in my life, is that I find peace with love. Every song that I wrote, I just kept kind of getting swept away in these different dreams I was having about the past, almost like a recollection of all these bad decisions that I made in my life, but it ends in this very happy place. Happy Mistake sounds so thematically aligned with all of this that we've learned about Mayhem so far. I think when you look at the track titles, especially with Die With a Smile being added at the end, I think it still fits with the theme we're kind of getting. I think there's definite obvious themes of life, death, violence, pain, suffering, and ending in love. And I think this is something that Gaga has kind of, as I've said before, it's been a recurring theme through, dare I say, most of her albums. I'd say definitely The Fame and The Fame Monster have this idea of like pain and suffering. Born This Way was where she explicitly said there was a difference between living in reality and living in fantasy, and she was living in both at the same time. I think that continued through to Art Pop, where she's using surrealism and escapism through partying and drugs and substances to kind of escape what was happening in reality. Joanne felt almost entirely grounded in reality in some ways for me, but then clearly wasn't, because she was going by the name Joanne. Joanne was almost a character that was supposed to be the real Gaga, but there was still some sense of kind of escapism and fantasy and characters there, even though the songs themselves felt quite grounded in reality, in my opinion. And then Chromatica went back to being completely, again, exploring that theme of reality and fantasy. So doesn't surprise me that we're getting similar themes on Mayhem. I spoke last time about how the title actually comes from the word maim, to maim somebody. Again, I'll read the definition of mayhem. Willful and permanent deprivation of a body part resulting in the impairment of a person's fighting ability, or willful and permanent disabling, mutilation, or disfigurement of any part of the body. Legally speaking, mayhem refers to the gruesome crime of deliberately causing an injury that permanently disfigures another. Now, think back to what she's saying about reassembling a broken mirror, and what even Beyonce said in the Telephone video about you can't fix a mirror once it's broken. And then Gaga says you'll still see the cracks in the reflection. Once a mirror is broken, it's broken. To go back to that mayhem definition, it's been permanently disfigured. However, I think what Gaga is trying to say with this imagery and this album is that even if something has been permanently disfigured, there's still a way to find beauty in it, and there's still a way to kind of move on from that. So let's talk about this track by track, because some of these titles are really starting to make me go quite deep into the theories and stuff already. Disease, obviously, being the opening track, we're very familiar with that song by now. And then I spoke in the last episode about the imagery in the music video with the monster having the mouth split in two. I love that some of you also pointed out that the mouth looked like an M shape, M for mayhem, M for monster, M maybe even for mitosis, which is splitting into two, which obviously Gaga spoke about in the Born This Way music video right at the beginning, the manifesto of Mother Monster. Disease has that imagery of splitting Gaga into two. So imagine my surprise when we get all of this imagery of Gaga and so much of the album cover and the accompanying images are all of Gaga in two. The bonus version of the CD is literally two of Gaga's face side by side, and her pupil being the bit that connects it. It's almost like the Disease video had her mouth being the part of her that was split, and then this album cover has her eye being the part that connects the two split. You can even see the cracked version of the standard cover of Mayhem. You know, we've got Gaga's clear profile, and then we have a reflection, a blurred kind of portrait in the cracked mirror. It looks like that's kind of, she's in the process of being split into two. So I think that's interesting, being split into two, with the next track being Abracadabra. Abracadabra being something you say when you've done a magic trick. And I guess you could say the monster going around and duplicating Gaga over and over again is a bit of a magic trick. Abracadabra, I've done it. So that's really interesting. Garden of Eden, again, being a super interesting title. Garden of Eden, I'm assuming referring to Adam and Eve, the creation of man, and where the original sin was born. Eve eating the apple was the original sin. So I guess we've already got kind of these theories of corruption happening quite early into the album. Perfect Celebrity being the next track. Interesting that we've gone from like the original sin and then Perfect Celebrity, which is like a callback to the Fame and the Fame monster. We know from that quote I read out earlier that Mayhem seems to be Gaga going back to her original style of pop music, being the Fame and the Fame monster. So Perfect Celebrity as a title, I'm very interested to hear what this track is going to entail. Gaga's always had such interesting things to say about fame and the concept of celebrity, inner fame, what it feels like to kind of delude yourself into being famous. I guess this is kind of a callback to her earlier self, her earlier career. Now she can speak on not just what it's like to be famous, because she was speaking about that before she was famous. Now she can speak to what it's like to being a celebrity, because she is. Perfect Celebrity also really made me think of Chapel Roan and the discourse there has been around the way she responds to difficulties, I guess, being a pop star. She's not a perfect celebrity. People don't think she's a perfect celebrity. In fact, the most common thing I see said about Chapel Roan, aside from any comments about the music, are about how she needs PR training and how she wasn't made to be famous just because she's kind of hit back at any criticism or hit back at fans or established having boundaries. She's not a perfect celebrity. So I think that's really interesting. I don't think there is a Chapel Roan feature, but I think it's an interesting topic. So who knows, maybe Gaga was inspired by that. Vanish Into You, I'm not getting too much on this title right now. I feel like we need to hear the song. I don't really have any theories just yet, but I will say, judging from, again, the teaser Gaga posted, it looks as though Vanish Into You and Abracadabra are going to be singles. So I would be willing to guess the music video we're getting at the Grammys would be for Abracadabra, and if not, it would be for Vanish Into You. Following that, we have Killer featuring Gesaffelstein. Gesaffelstein, aside from Bruno Mars, is the only feature on this album. And obviously Gesaffelstein is a producer, so I don't think it's going to be a duet in the way Die With A Smile is a clear duet with Bruno Mars. I think to the fans, it's going to sound like a solo Gaga track. It's just that he is quite a big name, so that they've listed him as a feature in the same way The Weeknd did with, what is the song? Lost in the Fire. From Killer into Zombie Boy, obviously, it still feels like there's a story running through here, right? We're starting with Disease, Abracadabra, the magic trick, Garden of Eden with the original sin, Sin going into Perfect Celebrity and Fame, Vanish Into You. I don't know, I'm just saying anything now, but Vanish Into You maybe could be getting back in touch with the more human side of yourself after succumbing to the fame and the celebrity world. Who knows? Killer and then Zombie Boy. Zombie obviously being the undead, but Zombie Boy feels like a clear callback to Born This Way. Obviously, the Born This Way video had Zombie Boy, Rick Janis, who's sadly no longer with us, where Gaga also replicated his zombie tattoos to create like the zombie girl character. I am not surprised to see a callback to this. The next song being Love Drug, which most obviously sounds like a callback to Love Game. Love Drug sounds like a title that Gaga could have made years ago, and it could be today. How Bad Do You Want Me being the next song, and Don't Call Tonight being the song after that. It sounds, Love Drug and How Bad Do You Want Me sound obviously like they're going to be the sexy songs of the album, which I'm all here for. Don't Call Tonight, sounds like conflict after the horny times. Shadow of a Man, I wanted to talk about this quite a lot, actually. So I'm going to go on a tangent now, as if this whole podcast episode isn't a tangent in itself. Shadow of a Man, I believe, is the snippet that Gaga put at the end of the Chromatica Ball film, where we hear her say, "Dance in the shadow." I think people previously thought she was saying "dance in the shadow of the night," or maybe she was saying "dance in the shadow of the moon." I think this title being Shadow of a Man, we can assume she's saying in the snippet, "Dance in the shadow of a man." Now, that sentence makes me think of Shiza. Shiza being obviously the kind of underground feminist anthem of Born This Way. I think, if you're living in somebody's shadow, you're kind of like, you're not getting to shine as much as them because everything they're doing is overshadowing you. So if you're living in the shadow of a man, it's kind of like you can't stand on. This is my theory, obviously. If you're living in the shadow of a man or dancing in the shadow of a man, I guess it's kind of he's overshadowing you. But if you're dancing in the shadow rather than not escaping their shadow, then I guess it's kind of embracing this is the way things are, but I can still thrive in this space, which also sounds like marry the night, marrying your darkness, embracing your demons, all of that kind of stuff. So I think Shadow of a Man, if I had to guess, is going to be the Shiza of Mayhem. And I hope it's like that kind of thematically, but also I hope the sound is as good because Shiza obviously is a huge, huge fan favorite. Also reminds me of Dance in the Dark, obviously. Dance in the Dark is very similar. She looks good, but her boyfriend says she's a mess. She loves to dance in the dark. Link that to Dance in the Shadow of a Man. It feels like there's a lot kind of coming together here. I'm really, really looking forward to hearing that one. And I think, if we get like a bit of a underground feminist anthem on this, I'm very, very excited. Following Shadow of a Man, the next song is The Beast. The Beast, obviously, kind of like a synonym for monster. So I think that's another kind of callback to a previous album there. And then Blade of Grass. Blade of Grass and Garden of Eden, both to me feel quite similar in terms of theme. Blade of Grass sounds like it could be about rebirth. Again, feels like a callback to Born This Way. Blade of Grass, it just made me think of nature and new growth, I guess, which, it does feel like Born This Way. And then obviously the final title being Die With a Smile. Die With a Smile, we've already heard it. It's a good song, it's brilliant, but it's about chaos, but still having love. If the world was ending, I'd want to be next to you. I think people have had a lot to say about Die With a Smile being added to the album and a lot of negative things to say. But for me, I think if we're looking at these titles, it does feel like it makes sense to end that album there. And it doesn't feel like it kind of disrupts the narrative in any way. So I'll be interested to hear how that kind of works. I think Blade of Grass sounds like the softest title on the album, alongside maybe Garden of Eden and Vanish Into You. Like the rest of these songs sound like they're going to be quite hard hitting, Killer and Love Drug and How Bad Do You Want Me. They don't sound like delicate songs, but Blade of Grass and Garden of Eden sound like they could be quite delicate. The other thing I wanted to talk about before I wrap this up is the track lengths. All of these tracks are over 3 minutes. So we're well and truly out of this kind of responding to the TikTokification, dare I say, Taylor Swiftification of music. I don't actually listen to Taylor Swift, so I don't know if her track lengths are short or not, but clearly a lot of artists, even Gaga herself, kind of moved towards making short tracks, and people were kind of thinking that was because of TikTok's influence. Obviously, if you've got a short track, you can stream it more because you can repeat it more, but also shorter segments of the track can go viral. And then when people want just that quick moment rather than a full track, that's kind of why people call it the TikTokification. So it's nice that we've got some long tracks on here. Blade of Grass being 4 minutes 18, Perfect Celebrity being 4 minutes 39, Garden of Eden, Vanish Into You also being 4 minutes and over. The shortest track being Love Drug at 3 minutes 14 seconds. So we've got a nice long album here. And obviously we've got that bonus track, and we don't know how long that track will be yet either, but I'd be willing to say it's probably around the same kind of track length. Disease was 3 minutes 30 for reference, and Die With A Smile was 4 minutes 11. I would have actually loved an extended version of Die With A Smile personally. I think that kind of guitar solo could have gone for another kind of 2 bars, and really, really kind of built up into an even bigger kind of climax. I would have loved that. But it does look like they're going with the version that we already have, which is still good. You know, Die With A Smile is absolutely killing it right now. It's returned to being the #1 global song, I believe, on Spotify. So yeah, clearly we can all see why the label wants, and Gaga wants, to put that on Mayhem. Something else, there's no title track here, unless the bonus track is called Mayhem. There is no title track. Is that the first time we've not had a title track on a Lady Gaga album? There's obviously Monster on the Fame Monster was sort of the title track. Chromatica didn't have a song called Chromatica, but we had the Chromatica interludes 1, 2, and 3. Mayhem, yeah, this feels like the first time we don't have an explicit title track. It does maybe feel slightly chaotic, which is on theme. There's also no text on either version of the album cover, which is kind of continuing from the Chromatica way of doing things, I guess. I'm here for it. I think just, you know, a strong, bold image that makes a statement. It doesn't need to be overdone. It's interesting. I really think this album is going to be a blend of the original kind of Gaga we had in the Fame Monster, and Born This Way days, especially looking at these titles that I've already mentioned. But I think we're also going to get quite a strong hit of this evolved Gaga from Chromatica and from Disease that we've already seen. I know a lot of people feel a certain way about Chromatica, and I've always said personally it's one of my favorite Gaga albums because it feels like a more kind of fully fleshed version of art pop for me. It's felt like it's taken all of the dark themes that we already heard her talk about on art pop, really give them some thought and really build a strong concept from that, and then just like run it even more. So yeah, me personally, I've never really understood why Chromatica gets the hate it does. Regardless, I'm here for Mayhem. I think it sounds like she's tapped back into those things she was good at years ago, and she's combined it with the strength and the mental kind of stability she has now. And I think she's going to give us something really, really, really exciting. So yeah, I can't wait to hear it. And also for the record, I just want to say, I've seen people kind of saying that, you know, Gaga can't get a solo hit anymore. Obviously, it's the song with Bruno Mars that's blown up. It's not Disease. Personally, I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. I'm listening to this album on repeat if I like it. And if I don't like it, then it's fine. You don't have to like everything. That's fine. But to be influenced by how it's charting and to be kind of upset that certain things aren't being done to break records. Gaga's broken every record there is in her career. Listen, Poker Face was like the most downloaded song of all time at one point. She's already had all of these accolades, and I think that's what some of you forget, is that she's not making music for accolades and records anymore because she's done it. She's literally already pushed the envelope so far. She doesn't need to do that. Now she can just make music for the fans that want to hear it. And if it blows up and it does really well, then great. Great. It's nice to know she can still do that if she wants to, but it's not the deciding factor of what goes into the music anymore. And I think the track lengths not being like 2 minutes is kind of reaffirming that. So just enjoy the music. Megan Thee Stallion said it best. Shut up and enjoy the music. Yeah, I'm going to wrap up because I've been talking for a long time. I've got pins and needles and I'm tired, but I just wanted to give all of us something to think about and get these thoughts out of my head, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussion in the next coming days about people's theories and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for listening to my theories and rambling. Next time I have an episode, I will be with a guest. I just wanted to get something out. But yeah, super, super excited. March 7th can't come quick enough. I'll probably do like a reaction something for the next single and music video. I'm so excited to see what we get next. But I have a really, really good feeling about this album. I haven't been as excited for a new Gaga album like this probably since Art Pop. I think you know, for me, I've spoken about Joanne before. I don't think Joanne is a bad album, but it just really was jarring for me for her to be so metaphorical her whole career and then release something like Joanne that felt so literal. So she didn't lose me, but I did find it difficult during those times. And then Chromatica, I really didn't expect to love Chromatica as much as I did. So I wasn't kind of in the lead up to Chromatica as excited for LG6 as I have been in this lead up for LG7. I think all the signs are pointing towards this album being like one of the best in her discography. And I'm not saying that to be hyperbolic. I really think what she has planned for us is going to be insane. Even with things like, I know we've all been a bit frustrated with, you know, the album being delayed slightly and the promotion not being, you know, super out there, or things not going viral or whatever it is. For me personally, I'm content just because I know the music is going to be 10 out of 10. All the signs are pointing towards it. I really do feel this. I think you can see how Gaga is in herself. She just seems so at ease, so confident, so self-assured with how everything's going. She doesn't seem insecure about the response. She's just going with it. She's just doing what she thinks is right. So I can't wait to hear it. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys again soon. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Best wishes and kisses. Bye.